Welcome to MMA Dogs. My name is Hector. This is my dog Dan.
Hi.
And we are in Las Vegas, the home of the UFC and the mecca of MMA. In our opinion, and we've talked about this before. What do you got, dog?
Yeah, we both agree on this. They go out there and finish a fight early in the first round, but don't get caught speeding. Don't get caught speeding on this fight.
They're against a guy who just got bit by a dog with rabies or something.
For me, it's do not bet.
And betting advice: do not bet.
But it's going to be one of those things, guys. I really feel it. It's unanimous. MMA Dogs have spoken.
5-star, and that's going to be a knockout. Just something to highlight the night.
MMADogs.com. MMADAWGS.com. Who's ready to make some money? I know we are. If you're ready to consistently profit over and over again, you've come to the right place. Now let's go to my dog Hector from America's finest city.
All right, here we go. Welcome to MMA Dogs. My name is Hector, and the homework is done. And now it is time to turn in the work. So let's put it to the test here. So before we move forward here, I want to thank all of our clients. Thank you very much. All of our supporters, all the way back to YouTube days. And much respect to all the men and women who step into the cage. So we have UFC Fight Night 38. We've got Shogun versus Henderson, Part 2. And the first fight was unbelievable. I mean, it was just something that is something that you would expect to see in a movie, like a gladiator match or something along those lines. You know, some kind of like, you know, something you see in an arena or something like that. It was just unbelievable. Something that, man, I'm just in awe, really. Lots of respect for these two guys. So let's go ahead and move to the first fight of the night. And of course, you never want to bet more than you can afford to lose, and you also you always want to obey the laws of the land. So just check your government laws and all that good stuff. And here we go, baby. Here we go. So for the first fight of the night, we have a UFC prospect, UFC debuting fighter against a guy who has his back up against the wall. So we have Lahat versus Pepe Castro. Let's talk a little bit about Pepe Castro first. So Pepe Castro is a Brazilian fighter who has a lot of fans because he was on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil. And he's a guy who's really dug himself a hole here. He's got his back against the wall. 1-3 in the UFC, with his last 2 losses being by knockout TKO. So that is not good. So it is very safe to say that he does not have a chin. His grappling is good. That's the only thing that has impressed me. And that's about it, really. I mean, he is going to have the home field advantage and the octagon experience over his opponent. But other than that, it is difficult to find bright spots in Pepe's game. You know, it's just like, man, this guy has jiu-jitsu, but what else can he do? And with Lahat, we've got a prospect, UFC debut, Israeli, fighting out of AKA. You know, he sought out the camp up there in San Jose. Josh Thompson, training partner. And he's a jiu-jitsu coach over at AKA. So not only is he a prospect, but he's already accomplished things in the jiu-jitsu world, in the grappling world. He's 7-0, decorated, like I said, black belt in jiu-jitsu and in judo. These guys that come into the UFC making their debut, they at times are given too much respect. And they have the odds, like, for example, Lahat sitting at minus 265 up to minus 300 in some spots. They have been given a role of the favorite, the guy who's supposed to win the fight. But when we take a closer look, we see a bad competition. They haven't fought a lot of these guys haven't fought the best opposition. And that is the case for Lahat. And in my opinion, from the footage I've seen, the film I've seen, Pepe will be the toughest test to date. For Lahat, he's had in the last 4 years, he's had 3 fights. The last one he had was by decision to an opponent he should have submitted in the first round. So that is why we will not be betting on Lahat. Although I do believe he will win the fight, I do not recommend a bet, and I will definitely not be betting that fight. And let's go over to another interesting matchup, and that is an evenly matched fight here in Barroso versus Stringer. So let's talk about Stringer first, making his UFC debut. He is decently well-rounded. There's nothing that I saw from him that I thought to myself, oh, wow, this guy has really good this or really good that. What I did like was that he does apply pressure on the feet. He comes forward. I liked his dirty boxing. But like I said, nothing extraordinary or something worth betting on. He's got to watch the low strikes, as we saw in his last fight. That's something that you have to – that's like, 101. He's 26 years old, so he does have some upside. He does train with the Black Zillions, so that he's got that going for him. But other than that, not impressed with this guy at all. He does have more fight experience than Barroso, and with Barroso, we've got a guy who's 1-0 in the UFC, and 1-0 on a fight he took on short notice. So he took that fight against Ednaldo on short notice. He is a Nova União team member, so we know they've got great coaching over there, great work with Marks, and now Junior Dos Santos, and a couple of those other guys over there. And, of course, all the little guys, Aldo, Barao, Dantas, all those good guys. He's decently well-rounded, very much like Stringer, meaning that he doesn't have anything that stands out, but he's decent in a lot of areas. Black belt in jiu-jitsu, so he's got a good jiu-jitsu game. Although from watching him from the bottom, he looks like he's helpless. He doesn't even look like a black belt there. It's mostly when he's in control. And for striking, he's like a point striker, one of these guys that like a Diaz type of pitter patter kind of punches, looks for to score the points, and he will have the home field advantage. So what I don't like, 34 years old, and his offensive wrestling and defensive wrestling is not good. So cannot pull the trigger on him. The pick will be Barroso, sitting at -115. And only because it is in Brazil, and he's close to Nova União and all his training partners there, close to home there. So the pick will be Barroso, but nothing that is worth running up to, running up to this fight with a fistful of cash, screaming and holding. No, you don't want to do that with this fight. And then here we have the next fight. All right, we have a striker versus a grappler. Let's talk about Perpetuo and Robertson. Perpetuo. So Perpetuo, big power. He throws those haymakers, but he's not one of these guys that throws haymakers and then covers up and defends himself properly. He has very bad striking defense. His cardio is not good. So here we've got basically a brawler, really not a striker, more of a brawler, and his grappling is not good. He does have a very inspirational story, so respect to him. He battled cancer, came back from that, so he's definitely a fighter. He's got a big heart. One of my favorite moments in Ultimate Fighter history is on the Ultimate Fighter 1 finale, or Ultimate Fighter 1 in Brazil, where he was fighting Trinaldo, and Trinaldo was gassed, just wanted to quit, And he's telling Masa Randuba, he's saying, come on, let's fight. Come on, let's fight. You don't want to do this to yourself. Come on, let's fight. More of an encouraging thing rather than a put this guy down. So that's what stands out when I think about this guy. You know, big power, throws haymakers, no cardio though. Big heart, but, you know. And with Robertson, you know, we've got a guy who he's not a full-time fighter, which is a big flag right away. And he's going to have to use his wrestling here. He's going to have to avoid getting hit, use his wrestling, take it to the ground. And I believe in this case, Robertson will take it down to the ground by using his wrestling, gas out Perpetuo, and land a submission. So just wait till he gasses. He can submit him here. And so the pick will be Robertson at plus 110. But do not bet, because one of those big haymakers can land and boom, that's all she wrote. But the pick will be Robertson here. And moving right along here, we've got, let me move this a little bit here. There we go. So we have an interesting matchup here between Formiga and Jorgensen. So in this case, a striker versus a jiu-jitsu ace. Although Jorgensen does have wrestling, as we know. But Jorgensen, you know, he's on the decline. 1-4 in his last 5 fights. He's fought good opponents. He's fought really good opponents. But the one win that he did have in those 5 fights was against John Albert. So, you know, he may win this fight, but at minus 200, you know, here's a guy who, like I said, on the decline, in my opinion. And one thing I really don't like about him is that when I see him fight, I don't like his game plans. I don't like the way I guess you could call it fight IQ or his octagon intelligence. I just don't like the way he fights. He gets in too many scrambles, and that's the hole I see here versus Formiga. With Formiga, we've got, like I said, a jiu-jitsu ace. He's only 1-2 in the UFC, but that was against Dodson and Benavidez. So, you know, can't really hold that against him too much. He's been training at Novo União, so all those good guys down there. And in my opinion, this is where he will show up. He doesn't have his back to the wall like Pepe or one of these guys, but he has to show up here, you know. And I believe he feels the pressure. I believe he's prepared more adequately for this fight, and I believe he'll perform at home here. So I like Formiga for the upset here. Formiga at plus 175. I like it. It's not going to be one of our plays, but if you want to put it in a round robin, one of those four team 2-leg round robin, hey, I don't blame you for that. And then for the next one, oh man, this one is just one of these ones that just has me pulling my hair out. I've been working on this write-up and getting everything finalized since, I would say, noon. So from 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it is now 12:55 a.m. So I've been working on this, putting the finishing touches on it, working out some things, getting some information. And with this one, this is the reason why I bring it up, because going into this fight, man, I had Rony marks all day in this fight. I mean, I just had him I was just what you might call hype the hooch up on this one. And we have Marks versus Santos. Santos here is a 170-pound fighter fighting at 185 pounds against a guy who's fought at 205 pounds. So it's just a mismatch, first of all, in size, right, in strength. And the Santos guy is 0-1 in the UFC. And in his defense, he did take the fight on short notice. Let's talk about something positive here. He did go up to Coconut Creek, Florida, train at American Top Team. So he's got really good training partners there. And he's got to keep this fight standing up, which is going to be a very difficult task. And we'll get into that in a second, against Marks. And, last time he fought a guy who has decent wrestling in in Ferreira. He was submitted in 47 seconds. So, this is just a bad fight for Santos. With Marks, I am very familiar with Honey Marks, extremely familiar with Honey Marks. In his fight he had against Aaron Simpson, I bet Marks big, won big. Against his fight against Craig, I bet Marks big, won big. And then in his fight against Romero, I bet Romero big. I bet against Marks big and won big. Because Marks is one of these guys who, when he fought Simpson and Craig, you could tell that he had to use his strength, his power to clinch with guys, control them up against the cage, take them down, but mostly just control guys up against the cage. So, he has the power and the strength advantage, and a lot of times that's all a guy needs when he has the ability to put guys up against the cage or on their back. He trains at Nova Miao. He's been training with Junior Dos Santos since Junior Dos Santos went up there to train, get some different looks. But he weighed in at 190 pounds, which is one of two things. Either he's injured and he couldn't make the weight, or he didn't take his opponent seriously. And sitting at minus 650, I cannot bet it. I can't recommend you guys bet it either, because the last thing we need is to lay the juice on that and then lose and then look back on it and say, well, what went wrong here? Well, he missed weight. We had that as a warning sign, as a yellow light, and we didn't heed. Now, I do expect Marks to win, and I do expect him to finish, but God forbid something were to happen here and we were to lose. So it's a total pass. There's going to be 500 other fights to bet on this year, so let's not, what's the point of risking it? So total pass there. And ciao! Woo-wee! Here we go. 5-star pick. 5 stars. 5-star pick. Diego Brandal. All right, here we go. He's facing an opponent in Chop. Now, Chop, very interestingly, is 6'4". He's 23 years old. If and once he develops the striking game that a 6'4" featherweight can have in MMA, in the UFC, he will be a force, or perhaps be a force, if he develops the striking game and the takedown defense. But at this point in his career, he does not have those things. He doesn't have that UFC caliber skills that it's going to take to beat a guy like Diego Brandal. And he has a nice record, but, he's fought horrendous competition. Like I said, all due respect to these guys who step in the octagon and step into any cage. But when we're at this point, or we are investing in these fighters, there's no room for, sugarcoating it or saying, it's horrendous competition. So this is a fight that's the major leagues against the minor leagues. Now, with Diego Brandal, first let's talk a little bit about the thing that's on my mind here, and that's the Poirier fight, where we bet Poirier heavily and we won. And I believe that whether Diego Brandal had made weight or not, he still would have lost that fight. Poirier is an excellent, underrated fighter. And Brandal loves to fight so much, and he's such a macho man. He wants to go in there and fight regardless of the situation, regardless of whether he's ready or not, and put his skills up to the test. So that's what happened, and we saw Poirier, win regardless. Now, Brandal weighs in at 144 pounds, looks in phenomenal shape. This fight reminds me a lot of the Pablo Garza fight, and on that fight, I picked Brandal, bet him heavily, won, and I see the same thing here, man. I see Diego Brandal getting the takedown, working towards side control, and getting that arm-in triangle choke. I mean, I just see Diego Brandal finishing him in the first round by submission. Brandal switched camps, so he's no longer at Greg Jackson's. He's at a camp in San Antonio, Texas, focusing on his jiu-jitsu, focusing on what is his strength, what he can use here against the elite competition. And I see a first-round submission for Diego Brandal. And we move right along here. We've got some more fights to cover, so we have an interesting matchup here, and a guy who, if you're a value type of individual, you like to look for value plays, this will be a good value play, I believe, for you. And I believe the value not only will be there, but he will also win. And this is Hani Jason at -175 going up against Siler. So let's talk about Siler first. Siler has quietly moved to 5-2 in the UFC. Very underrated, very scrappy fighter, very durable fighter. He can hang with the best. He can hang with just about anybody, anywhere. He's surprising on the feet. He's got decent wrestling. He trains in Utah at Pit Elevated. So he's got good cardio. This guy is just quietly gone about his career here. I remember the first time I saw this guy, I thought, oh my God, this guy's going to get killed. You know, who is this kid? And, you know, he's just gone about his business. But now he's going up against a guy who's 3-1 in the UFC, well-rounded, with a big advantage in jiu-jitsu. Also will have the edge on the feet. And Jason is nothing to underrate here. You know, Jason, if it hits the ground, Jason will probably submit Siler. And if it doesn't hit the ground, if he decides to keep it standing, he will probably knock out Siler. Me, I would say keep it on the feet and look for the knockout, because Siler can get rocked, and we've seen him get rocked. Jason, of course, will have the home field advantage. Now, the value that I was talking about is Jason got knocked out by Jeremy Stevens, but if you paid close attention in that fight, Hani Jason was not himself, and not just because he got knocked out. You could just tell he was not himself. He was not the Hani Jason that we're used to. And Hani Jason at -175 against Siler is a good play, is an excellent play in my opinion. And I don't see Hani Jason dropping 2 at home. I don't see it. I see Hani Jason ending this fight and getting back into the win column. So I love Hani Jason here at -175. And moving right along here, we've got another interesting matchup, striker versus grappler. We got Prazeres versus Taisumov. And Taisumov is 1-0 in the UFC. Of course, we saw that fight he had with Bang. We bet Taisumov there, won. Overall, he performed well, so I was satisfied with him, but he slowed down. For me, he looked like perhaps it was the octagon jitters, or perhaps the first time, but he slowed down in that fight. You know, he trains at Tiger Muay Thai, Tiger MMA with Roger Huerta and a couple other good guys there. And right now, as it stands, in my book, he's overrated as of right now, especially at -315. And in Brazil, just thinking like, wow, -315, really, in Brazil. Of course, it doesn't matter if he wins, but still, as of right now, I see him a bit overrated. And with Prazeres, he's 1-1 in the UFC. This is his second fight at 155, and he's a grappler. He's a jiu-jitsu expert here with really good top game and control on the ground. He has taken the fight on a bit of short notice, though. Taisumov was supposed to face Gleason Tebow, so that'll be another advantage for Taisumov there. And with Prazeres, he doesn't have good cardio. He's got bad cardio. In the second round, towards the end of the second round, he'll gas, and his striking isn't very good. But I believe here that with it being a second cut to 155, with him cleaning things up with his diet, upping his cardio, he will win 2 out of 3 rounds using his grappling, using his wrestling, and score the upset here. So I'm going with Prazeres at +275. This is not a fight that I'm running up to the octagon with a fistful of cash or anything like that. But if you want to put it in a round robin, four fighter round robin of 2s, hey, I can't blame you for that. You know, this is a very interesting matchup, and we'll see what happens here. But you know, +275, interesting little play. And then moving right along here. Now this one, we got Villante against Maldonado. Now, Maldonado, he has an unbelievable chin. He has a big heart. A boxer with excellent body shots. Striking defense is horrendous, though. And he fights with his hands down. And he's 34 years old. Now, so this fight really is, oh man, Villante, he's got to have a huge wrestling advantage, a huge grappling advantage. If he is smart, he will take this fight to the ground and control Maldonado on the ground and work towards a submission, because here's a guy that trains with Matt Serra, the Ray Longo team, Chris Weidman. Come on, you got to be kidding me. This guy has some of the best grapplers on his team. He's 28 years old, so there's no excuse. And he can use this to his advantage, and I believe he will. He's got bad striking defense. He does have heavy hands. But in this case, he's got to take Maldonado down and submit him. And that's it. You know, this could turn into a slop fest. Hopefully it doesn't. But it could turn into a slop fest, and it probably will. So that's why we're not pulling the trigger on Villante. It is a lean, though, if you want to what's the word I'm looking for here? Judge the level of confidence here. It is a lean. Villante sitting at, I believe, minus 135. Let me take a quick look here. Around minus 135. And I see him winning this fight. I mean, I really do. He just needs to fight smart and listen to his coaches, you know. Just play a smart game here and beat Maldonado at home. So Villante for the pick, minus 135 is definitely a lean. And 3 more to go. We've got Santos versus Parke, Norman Parke. Let's talk about Norman Parke first. 3-0 in the UFC. This guy, I'm very familiar with him. I bet him in the past. I've won with him in the past. In my opinion, he's been underrated until now. So now people have really taken notice here. He's going to have the striking advantage. He's going to have the wrestling edge, but not the jiu-jitsu edge. So he definitely needs to keep it up on the feet to win. He trains at Alliance, so he's training with a whole host of other 155ers. Michael Chandler, Miles Jury, Jeremy Stevens at 145. Dominic Cruz at 135, Phil Davis, all those guys at Alliance. He's got good coaching. He's only got, an interesting little fact is he's only got 2 losses by submission. His only 2 losses were by submission. And that was way back in 2006 and 2010, so that's a while ago, but still interesting nonetheless. Now with Santos, we've got Novo Niao, team member there. So I call him Aldo's older brother because, you know, he took Aldo under his wing there and helped Aldo when Aldo had nothing, nobody with nothing and just big dreams. And he helped him out there, took him into his home, fed him. So with Santos, we get a guy who's a jiu-jitsu black belt with excellent submissions. He's an Abu Dhabi veteran, so he's fought the best on the ground. And, you know, in this particular fight, it'll be Santos's best, in his best advantage, in his best favor here to look to clinch up with Parke. And he doesn't have an explosive takedown or anything, so look to clinch up with him, get a hold of him somehow, whether it's up against a cage or you know, trip him up. Look for a clinch, get the takedown there, trip him up, and sink in a choke. You know, and that's what he's gonna have to do. He's gonna have to take it to the ground and look for a submission. With Santos, he's 34 years old, so his time is running out. But he doesn't have a whole lot of mileage on him, per se. You know, he hasn't been in too many wars or anything. So I like Santos here at plus 215, having the home field advantage, having everybody, his whole team behind him here. And I think Parke may be a little overzealous, a little too confident, a little too aggressive. And if he's aggressive here, he's going to pay here. He's going to pay and get submitted. So I'm like Santos here for a plus 215. This is another one that you can throw in a round robin of twos. So yeah, Santos there. And the co-main event, we've got Ferreira versus Dollaway. Now with CB, he's got 2 losses by knockout. One of them in the hands of Jared Hammond, so I'm not very impressed by that, and the other one by Mark Munoz. In his last fight against Tim Boetsch, he had a terrible, terrible game plan. Just a horrendous game plan. 7 wins. This is for Dollaway. 7 wins in the UFC. 6 opponents aren't even in the UFC anymore. So out of his last 7 wins, out of CB Dollaway's, out of his 7 wins total in the UFC, 6 of those people he beat aren't even in the UFC anymore. So I can't ignore what I saw out of him, though, against Tim Boetsch. He should have won that fight. He could have won that fight. He was pulling a Nick Diaz, putting his hands up in the air, putting his hands up like that and saying, what's up, and this and that. Just this guy, very unpredictable. Now with Cezar Muchach Ferreira, we've got Vitor Belfort's adopted son. Vitor Belfort's his mentor. Muchach is up there training with the Blackzilians, with Kenny Monday, Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. Muchach Ferreira here, he's a capoeira master, black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's got a lot of strength, a lot of power. He can win by knockout and submission, and Dollaway is susceptible to those things. So in this particular case, Ferreira training with Belfort, training with Rashad Evans, training with all those beasts over there. Rapidly improving, quickly improving, coming home to Brazil. I got to go with him. He's got a big price tag right now. I believe it's minus 225, over 200, minus 200, over 2-1. And, there's going to be some better plays to make. But if I had to go with a lean, or if I had to go with a guy, it'd be Ferreira. But if Dollaway is smart and uses wrestling, I don't think he's that smart. But if he wanted to, he could use the wrestling and just smother him, tire him out, maybe even look for a submission. But I lean towards Ferreira here. Not super confident in this fight because they are evenly matched. But Ferreira does have the knockout power and the submission. He's going to have the jiu-jitsu advantage. So Ferreira for the pick there. And we go to the main event. Ooh. Now, wow, like I said in the beginning of the video, unbelievable the first fight. Just a true testament of heart, determination. I mean, just these 2 guys are unbelievable. Shogun Rua, Henderson. And let's talk about Dan Henderson first. Let's see, what are we at here? So we are at 32 minutes. All right, so let's talk about Dan Henderson first. A legend in the sport. Just an unbelievable guy. I mean, he's been in so many excellent fights. But he is 43 years old now. Okay, so he's definitely past his prime. But like I said, a real treat to watch fight, regardless. For the first time in his career, and that's 40 fights, he lost by knockout. So he lost to TRT Belfort by knockout. Now his chin is cracked. They're sending him down to Brazil on a 3-fight losing streak. And I can't ignore those facts. With Mauricio Shogun Rua, he's another legend. Just a guy who, just a big heart, big chin. He is a bit hot and cold, but if you look at the matchups, if you look at the numbers, he is a fighter who wins when he's supposed to and loses when he's supposed to. He's 3-0 in Brazil, which isn't saying too much since one of those was against Forrest Griffin, but he did look very good. He looked very good against James Tahuna. Against Tahuna, he looked very good. He's got 22 wins, 19 by knockout. So I expect Henderson to go out there, leave it all on the line, knowing, hey, this could be his last fight. He says he signed a 6-year fight deal, a six fight deal, and that he expects to finish out the contract. Those are his plans. And I don't see him being tentative in this fight. I don't see him, playing it safe or doing anything. I see him going out there and just going out there and just loading up on that right hand and just letting it fly. Letting that hammer fly, letting that H-bomb go. And with Shogun, I see him looking to do the same thing. Just going after each other's heads. And I see somebody's head getting knocked off this fight. No decision here. I do have to lean towards Shogun. Although, like I said, this is just one of those fights where you look at it, you analyze it, and I am leaning Shogun. But this is just a very difficult fight to, especially sit at the odds where it's sitting at right now. With Henderson knowing this could be his last fight. He's got his back against the wall. His losses were against Machida, and some people thought Henderson won. Machida's at the top of his game. Against Rashad Evans, and some people thought Henderson won. Rashad Evans at the top of his game there. And then TRT Belfort. So, very interesting matchup. But we're going to do something a little different here. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to go over to our picks, over to the bets. And we have a 5-star play, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Diego Brandal, large to huge play. Diego Brandal, 5 stars. 4 stars, we don't have any. But we have a 3-star play, and this will be a small to medium play. And Shogun versus Henderson doesn't go to decision. Shogun and Henderson doesn't go to decision. And our third and last play here, pick, 3 stars also, Honey Jason here for the win. So let's break down our bets. Let's go ahead and dive into the bets here. Take a look into the MMA Dogs bets. So 1 unit equals 1% of the bankroll. Our first bet will be Diego Brandal at -450 and Honey Jason at -165. We parlay them. That gives us -104. 2.5 units to win 2.41 units. So 2.5 units to win 2.41 units. Then we're going to go ahead and take Shogun versus Henderson. Doesn't go to decision. So the main event does not go to decision. That is only -150. We're going to go ahead and put 3 units on it to win 2 units. So 3 units to win 2 units. Then we're going to go ahead and go with Diego Brandal inside the distance at -170. 3 units to win 1.76 units. 3 units to win 1.76. Then we're going to get a little frisky here. And we're going to do a couple of parlays, which, knock on wood, we will be cashing tomorrow. And this is very interesting here. Diego Brandal by submission at +220. Parlayed with Shogun Rua inside the distance at +140. Parlay those two, that gives us +668. So we're going to put a half of a unit to win 3.34 units. Half of a unit, 0.5 units to win 3.34 units. And we're also going to do Diego Brandal by submission at +220 plus Dan Henderson inside the distance at +325, which gives us +1,260. We're going to put half a unit on that to win 6.3 units. So 0.5 units to win 6.3 units. So with that one, it's obvious here. I firmly believe Diego Brandal will win by submission, probably in the first round. So I'm going to parlay it with Shogun and Henderson, because if either one of these guys wins, we're going to end up winning. Now, obviously, we're going to be rooting for Dan Henderson. And I just didn't want to sell a short if if it's Shogun if it's Henderson that wins and we put it only on Shogun, for half of a unit, that is just unbelievable. And I firmly believe one of these will pay out tomorrow. Knock on wood, of course. But I'm very excited for one of those two. And then Diego Brandal by submission, plus 220. Half a unit to win 1.10. So if for some godforsaken reason Shogun and Henderson go to a decision again, then that Diego Brandal by submission will cover that that unit that we spread over those two fights. So those are the bets. The total equals 10 units to win 16.91 units. And guys, I am excited for this fight. So once again, thank you to our clients. We appreciate your business. And thank you to all our supporters. We appreciate your support. And yeah, I'm going to keep grinding away here, putting in the work, doing the homework, watching the film, watching all the fights, listening to all the interviews, reading just getting all the information. Like I said, today was an unbelievable day from noon up until now. It's 1:22 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Working everything out, finalizing it, putting the finishing touches on it, and in my eyes, finishing a masterpiece. Now it's time to put it up to the test to see if reality is reality is a judge here. Real life is a judge if it pans up. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this fight. Super excited for it. If you are watching this video after the fights and you are on the fence about it, or you're thinking to yourself, this might be worth it trying out, or this might be something I might like to do, feel free to check out our website. You'll see all our information, everything, all the good stuff, all the bad stuff, everything. There's nothing that we cover up. There's nothing that we're trying to hide. Ever since day one, we've been very honest with you guys and showed all of our the good, the bad, and the ugly, everything. And it's gotten to the point where, just like anything else in life, you want to improve it, you want to evolve it. And like I told you guys in the past, it's my dog and I working on this, and we've evolved and constantly are improving to where we are at now. I'm in charge of doing all the fight predictions, breakdowns, all that good stuff. And of course, I talked to my dog about it too, but that's my main priority, my main job. And then my dog is behind the scenes, since he is very good with computers and programs and websites. So he takes care of social media and making sure everything's running smooth and all that good stuff. So we're an excellent team, and this is what we like to do. We're not we are doing this, and we don't have some big corporation, some big mega billionaire company. We don't have we don't come from this big website or some kind of casino or something like that. We work independently, so we do this all on our own. No investors, no bosses, no nothing. We are our own bosses, and this is the way we like it. We do things our way, and it's something that you see it on the TV and you see it in the movies. You see people say, "Oh, I'm going to follow my dreams and I'm going to do this and that," and that's something that ever since I can remember, I have had a lot of respect for, and I admire, and I like seeing people succeed, and seeing people go after their dreams and chase after their dreams. And so this is what we're doing. This is what we're going to continue to do, and we love it. And so yeah, if you're on the fence about it, we guarantee profit, or we will give you your money back. So if we don't profit with our bets, we will give you your money back for the fee, and that's why we're offering it right now for a limited pre-sale price, $20, to make it affordable for all our supporters that we've had through YouTube all around the world. I mean, the statistics are just unbelievable. I used to know them off the top of my head for for our YouTube stats, all the different countries we are in, all the different subscribers and viewers. But I don't know that anymore because I don't check YouTube how I used to, sitting there checking it and seeing how many subscribers and stuff, viewers all around the world we have. Now I focus more on watching fights and filling my time up with watching fights and predictions and going over numbers and statistics and the bets and the different setups of the bets and all that stuff. But we've got viewers all around the world, so I thought to myself, well, why don't we try and make this more affordable? So let's do a pre-sale price, $20, and then the on-sale price of $35 for people who, don't really care. $20, $15 isn't really going to make or break the night. But there are some people who are small-time bettors, just like to do it for fun, that's who we want to, the people who are saying, hey, you know what? I love you guys, but ever since you guys started charging, blah, blah, blah. So, hey, $20, that's not a bad deal. And then for other people, $35, $50, whatever it is, it's nothing either. So that's where we stand. And then if for some godforsaken reason we don't profit, something goes wrong, the ball doesn't fall in our court, then we'll give you your money back and you get the next event for free. So that wraps it all up. So that does it. And thank you guys for tuning in. I will catch you guys all later.
Nobody likes to lose, so be done letting that money burn its way through your pockets. Slow down, get ready. We are so confident that you will profit from our picks that if you don't, we will refund your money and give you the next card on us. In order to profit in the long run, it's important to be consistent with our picks. Rome wasn't built in a day and neither was Vegas. MMADogs.com. Profit guaranteed. MMA Dogs.